there's these great, bright, shiny spots in this journey that, keep you going. And so it's worth it. It's just a lot to learn. I'm
Mhm.
glad I'm almost glad I didn't know what I didn't know,
Mhm.
because I could see that being a stumbling block.
Welcome to the Wish I'd Known Then podcast, where we focus on how authors found success, looking at strategies that have taken them to the top of the bestseller charts, as well as what they've learned from their mistakes. Because being an indie author is more than knowing the latest marketing trend. It's about being innovative and creative and learning from your mistakes.
Welcome to the Wish I'd Known Then podcast. I'm Sarah Rosette.
And I'm Jamie Albright. And this week on the show we have
A.B. Herron.
Yes, we do. It was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. We talked to her about sort of like balancing work and life. She works full time.
Yeah.
And about, kind of what she wishes she had known. Like if she were starting over, she had a very interesting answer to that question about writing standalones instead of a series. So it was kind of in dyslexia, we touched on that. So yeah,
she
we had
writes
a great time.
romantasy. And so, well, it's genre bending, but it falls into the romantasy probably category best. And just what she wished she'd known about that. And I thought that was interesting, and romantasy is super hot right now. So
yeah, it's always good to talk about that.
Yeah, it was good. Yep. So what's been going on with you, Miss Sarah?
Well, I sent out some swag for everybody who'd pre-ordered basically the special edition. And I did the coasters that we talked about in the other episode when you got that idea. So I ordered some of those, and I did stickers and bookmarks. And I just put everything in an envelope and then, printed out the labels and sent them off and mailed that out. So hopefully that will be a nice little surprise for everybody. And because I didn't sign the books this time, I didn't send them to me to have, because a lot of time, the ones I've done in the past, I've signed them and numbered them and then wrapped them in tissue paper and put a sticker on them and put them in an envelope. And, so there's like a bigger, nicer thing, so now this time they will just get the book directly from the printer, and it has a digital signature in it. But just because we have travel and stuff coming up, I knew I wouldn't have time to get the books here, sign them and get them back out. If there was any issues at all, everything would crumble like, a house of cards falling down.
Exactly.
So I was like, I will do this swag thing. And that was fun. And it was a nice little extra thing to do, but it wasn't like super time consuming. So that was cool.
And I think this is a good reminder to us all that know your limits,
Sarah pivoted. I had to admit mine.
She's a good pivoter, y'all. And so, she did something different and tried it. And, she'll see how that goes, but you don't have to do it the same every time, and don't be afraid to try new things. So.
Yeah. What about you? What have you got going on?
I've just been writing. I find, because it's been a while, I was really into it before swim and lessons. Swim and lessons really took me out of it. So I'm really just getting back into it. I do better if I write in really short spurts and then get up and do something and then come back and write in really short spurts and then do it again. But I'm putting words on the page, so that's good. And that's about it.
But that's progress. So. I mean, that's what we talk about in the episode today in the interviews.
I got good words yesterday. I just did it. I didn't do a big long sit down. And unfortunately, I think I do better that way. The problem is I need the whole day to get enough words in. And that's hard for me sometimes because, there are things I want to go do.
Yeah, me too.
So just knowing, right now, getting back into it, doing it this way has helped me. So, that's good. It's been good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. Well, we're recording this a little bit early. We don't have any new supporters, but thanks to all the continuing supporters. And before this, we got on to record, I was in doing all of our stuff to get ready. And I looked at, all of the supporters to see how things were going. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm just amazed, partly that we have supporters, but I'm
No,
just
me
so
too.
thankful.
Yeah.
And it really does help with the expenses and keeping everything going. And so I
Yeah.
just wanted to say, I was looking down that list, I was seeing names I knew, and I was like, oh, it was such a boost.
Very
So,
heartwarming. Yeah, I know.
yeah.
Well, and it also, like Joanna Penn says, it tells us that you want to continue, you want us to continue to do this. Like, you know, this is today we have we record twice. I mean, that makes things tricky. So it's our time. And we really appreciate it. So
yeah. So thank you. And if you want to support the podcast, if you've received value and want to give value back, then you can go to wishidknownforwriters.com/support, and you'll get access to all of the backlist supporter episodes. And we're going to record a new one this week. I'm excited about.
Yeah.
And hopefully that'll be out by the time this comes out.
Yeah.
And don't have any new text messages because we haven't really done anything with that.
Yeah.
But we do have our sponsor for this podcast is the corporate sponsor is Xero, accounting software made for small businesses like indie authors. With Xero, you have everything in one place. You can store documents, capture expenses and receipts via email, scan files from your mobile, and more. Xero's robust integrations, you can connect Xero to your bank and easily sync financial information, as well as have access to more than 1,000 apps in its app store. There are different plans to suit your business, and all pricing plans cover the accounting essentials with room to grow. And I switched to Xero recently and just love it. It imports transactions automatically. I was in there yesterday reconciling, and it remembers how you've reconciled things in the past. And all you do is you just click it and go on. It's amazing and wonderful.
Wow. Yeah.
And they had an onboarding call, and if you have a question, they're quick to respond. It's just a great accounting solution, and you can use discount code Wish I'd Known Then 20 and get 20% off a Xero subscription for 3 months. And the link will be in the show notes.
Yeah. Yeah. They're great. And we really appreciate them. We appreciate their sponsorship. That helps a lot too. So thank you.
Yeah. So we should get on with the interview.
Yes, let's do.
All right. So here is A.B. Herron. Today, we are super excited to talk to A.B. Herron. Hi, A.B. or Amanda. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me this morning. Appreciate it.
Very excited to talk to you today.
Likewise.
Yeah. So here's your bio. A.B. Herron is a dyslexic indie author residing in the Pacific Northwest. Mingling her studies of anatomy with zoology, she entwined science and magic to creative effect while plundering the forest for inspiration. Herron writes in the cracks between responsibilities, works full-time, and plays with dogs because she just can't help herself.
Love that. Love that. And you will get a lot of people loving that because dog lovers in our audience. So that's
hey, I just can't help it.
I know. Tell us how you got into writing.
Oh gosh, I think I got into writing through reading, which seems like it's a pretty common response from most writers I've talked to. My parents were amazing at reading to us, my sister and I, when we were growing up, and there was just something about it that I'm like, I want to do this. And I raised to my sister and her friends, and just making things up and very vivid imagination. And I finally got brave enough to start putting it on the page. Of course, not telling anybody, but there's a component of getting diagnosed with dyslexia and that particular journey where there's a lot of people along the way who said, well, you can't write. So it was an interesting start to warming up to the point of getting a novel down and showing it to friends and readers.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be tricky. And as I've talked about on here, I have horrible grammar. So that's it's not the same thing because I could have learned grammar. Dyslexia, sometimes you just there are things out of your control. But it was terrifying to even start. So I get that. I get that feeling. So.
Oh, you're in good company. The rules of grammar and spelling and punctuation and stuff tend to elude me a lot of times, which I rely heavily on my alpha readers in my writing group and my editor. It's just like, okay, guys, I can put the story on the page, I can craft this, but you need to polish it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, we like to ask everybody, what is your definition of success?
Oh man. That always feels like it's a moving target to a certain degree. I think at this point I'm looking at a definition of success as helping a reader or getting a reader to feel, to connect with my book on some level, any level. And just creating a world that has an effect on the person who's stepping into it. I think the challenge with that particular definition is I never really know if I'm hitting that mark unless somebody leaves a review or reaches out, which, as we all know, is kind of a rarity. But yeah, that's success, is getting someone to feel.
Yeah, that's very true. It is hard to tell if you've reached the audience and gotten the reaction that you're hoping for. So,
agreed.
Yeah, reviews and comments and things like that can help let you know, I guess. And your alpha readers. It sounds like you have alpha readers.
I do.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, I know. I have an amazing writing group that I call my alpha readers, and they are just they have been the biggest boon to my writing journey, is acquiring them. It was just like, oh my gosh, you guys keep me going, give me great feedback. And they're some of my biggest fans, which I don't know that I'd be this far necessarily without their support.
That's awesome. That's great.
I'm writing down a question I want to ask you later, but we'll go on with it. Okay, here I am. I'm back. What do you wish you'd known about writing and craft when you started?
Oh gosh, can I say everything? Does that?
Yes, that's totally fine.
Well, pretty much everything. I mean, I'm a science major. I'm not an English major. I'm not a writing major. It wasn't something I delve into, and I was writing in secret for the longest time. So I kind of stepped into the world of being a published author and not really having an idea what I was doing. Just the fastest learning curve you can get. So I wish I had understood genres a little bit more. I wish I had understood the immensity of publishing and editing and finding an editor and finding the tools and the support that at least that I need as a writer and author.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And we don't get that one a lot. But it is important to find those people who get you,
Yeah, there's a lot you're dealing when you first start out, a lot you're dealing with when you first start out, because just like you're trying to learn how to write, connect with people who are also doing it. And then there's so many resources. It can be pretty overwhelming.
It has been, and learning the vernacular of the writing field. And the first time someone's like, oh, well, what tropes are in your book? I'm like, trope, what's a trope? So it's just been this incredible educational journey, but at the same time, it's like, oh my gosh, I have to learn this, and I have to learn this, and what about this, and I missed this. And so going from an instinctual writer and a really, avid reader who would read anything I can get my hands on, to then actually picking apart a book, it's like dissecting it from, the cover out or in, I guess.
Yeah. Well, speaking of covers, what do you wish you'd known about marketing?
I'm going to sound redundant. Everything. I didn't realize what it meant to be a writer in the realm of marketing. I didn't realize that marketing was going to be this whole beast I was going to have to face down and figure out and gentle and tame to my own needs. I didn't have a presence in social media. I didn't know the first thing about marketing. I thought naively that I could write a book and put it out there, with Amazon making it so easy to do that. And then, I would, woohoo, I would make, make my career as an author. That is so not how it works.
Yeah.
As I'm sure so many people have found out and discovered, but it's like, oh, okay. So marketing is another skill set that you got to acquire.
So did you start all the social media channels, and do you have a certain area that you focus for your marketing now, or what have you done over time?
I big process of learning all these different pieces of it. Because I work full time, I do not have a lot of spare time to put into marketing and social media. Mm-hmm. So I focused mostly on Instagram. It was the most, and I know that's not the easiest way to find people, but it was the easiest platform for me to access and be available and work on. I have never been a huge participant in Facebook, and that just for some reason was more daunting to me than Instagram. Mm-hmm. So I jumped on Instagram and started learning there. TikTok, I keep looking at sideways and trying to decide if I'm going to dip a toe in that insanity or not. But yeah, at the moment I have a website, I have on Instagram. One of these days, my newsletter is actually. So I'm still pretty young in the field of marketing here.
Yeah. I think we all feel that way. I mean, I've been doing it for a long time, and so has Sarah. And we just had a conversation yesterday about day before yesterday, about how we feel like there's so much we still don't know, Things change so much and so fast that we all kind of feel that way. So, yeah. Not anything to worry about. Well, I don't know, you may have already answered this, but what assumptions did you make at the beginning of your writing career, and looking back, did they turn out to be right or wrong?
I think I made the assumption that it was going to be straightforward.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Sorry, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you.
Me too.
No,
Me too.
And I mean, I did mention I thought I would just write a book and get it out there, and suddenly you have a career as an author. Not true. And looking, you need to learn about cover art. You need to learn about. You have to learn about marketing. I've had to learn about Canva. I've had to learn about Wix. I've had to, I've had to learn about computers, where it's like, you just put a pen to paper or a pencil to paper and you start writing. It's like, look, I wrote. It's like, well, no, there's formatting and just all the different layers. It's peeling that giant onion, and it's like, find the next one, the next one, the next one. So, yeah, I made assumptions. It was just write a book.
Yeah, and not to be discouraging to our new authors.
Oh,
it can be fun. It's just a lot. It's just not straightforward. It's not.
No, yeah. I mean, I'm here with you lovely people today, and I'm so happy to. And I find this fun talking to new people. And I just started doing book fairs this year, and it's a lot of fun, being there in person with readers who come up and they're like, what's your book about? And I was like, okay, let's talk literature. This is great. And to see people hug your book when they're like, oh, I got to take this home. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you just made my whole week. So there's these great, bright, shiny spots in this journey that, keep you going. And so it's worth it. It's just a lot to learn. I'm glad I'm almost glad I didn't know what I didn't know, because I could see that being a stumbling block to getting this ball rolling.
Yeah, because it would just feel so overwhelming.
Correct.
If we knew all the things that we were going to have to learn, we might just be like, oh, I'll just go get a part-time job somewhere.
Well, I think with everything the bigger challenges I've had to tackle in life, I try to, like, one day at a time, one piece at a time, like, okay, what do I need to do today as far as writing goes? Like, I need to put words on a page. And then tomorrow, what do I need to do tomorrow? Well, I need to edit those words. And then what do you do when all those words are done? Okay, now I need to find an editor. I need to find a beta reader. I need, just chunk it down to reasonable pieces that you can do every day. Some days it's like, I need to put something up on social media. Like, how do I make this connection? It's like, okay, I can do this today. And then I don't look at the 10 zillion other things that I have on my plate that I need to address.
Right.
Yeah.
You need to have tunnel vision in a way about tasks, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, that is some great advice on how to approach things. What would you say is the most important lesson you've learned over this time as you've become a writer and a publisher?
You guys have to ask the hard questions.
We're trained professionals.
I love it. Most important. Oh gosh. Basically keep going. Basically surround yourself with an amazing support group. I mean, writing is insular in a way, and it's very individual because only you can write the book or the story or, you know, whatever it is you're working on, what your art form. But having that support group that you can tap is incredibly important. And I have met so many amazing people on Instagram that I've reached out that I don't know well, and that I've just like sent out how do you do this? Help, I'm stuck. And people have like, oh, here, this is what you do. And that's just invaluable. So find your community, find your writing people. That's been the most important thing for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you see all the nastiness, especially in romance, which is what I write. And I just, you know, I've never really experienced that. I've just had lovely, lovely people in my life, thank goodness. And always willing to help, always willing to share information, and, you know, and the people that aren't willing to share or are real secretive and stuff like that, I've moved on from them. Like, you know, it's just, that's not how I want to run my business. It's not how those aren't the people I want to surround myself with. So I feel like, yeah, that it's a lovely community. You just got to find the right people.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. Well, what's the biggest change you've had to make in your thinking?
The biggest change, and I keep bumping up against this regularly, is that it's a marathon. And a friend of mine actually yelled gently, kindly, with love, yelled at me about this. It's like, it's not a sprint. It is a marathon. You can't get it all done at once. You need to accept that this is going to be a slower pace. And this is something that over 5 to 10 years is going to happen. It's not going to, most likely. And there are exceptions to this, but it's not all going to happen tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow someone will stumble upon my book who wants to make it into a miniseries. It could happen.
Be awesome, right?
Wouldn't that be incredible? If there's any producers out there, this would work great on Netflix. But seriously, it's I celebrate to okay, I am learning. This is new. I am not an expert. Every single day is just getting something done and out there is success.
It is. Getting any words on the page, I think, is a success. And then taking that next step and figuring out how do I write a blurb and all those things that just, it takes a while to don't go there.
No, don't talk about blurbs. Let's not talk about blurbs. I need some serious help on my blurbs.
The reason we don't have a question about blurbs in our format.
Yeah. Well,
people who are gifted in that realm, I am.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
you need to make friends with those people.
I have not found them yet.
Well, we also like to ask, if you were starting over today, would there be anything you would do differently?
Yes, definitely yes. I would have not started my writing career with a series. I would have loved to have started with a couple standalone books, because I would have learned a lot more, and it wouldn't be.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Something that I'm committed to in this longer run, because, with the series, and that being, other than the short story that I have published in an anthology, there's not a lot of writing out there for people to sample that I've done. And so I have to finish the series because I have that very small group of people who are like, where's the next book? Which I love and I'm so grateful for. But I learned so much between the first book and the second book and the second book and the third book, that I know there will be readers who will read that first book and be like, eh. And then they don't go on to the second book. The second book is the writing is much better than the first book. And so, I would have started with standalones. That would be the biggest thing.
Yeah, because you do have, like, out of your pool of people, if someone's tried book one, they decide it wasn't for them, then you're probably not going to pull them in with book two, whereas you might be able to with another standalone. So that's a really interesting way to think about it, because everybody always says, write a series, because then you can, pull people in and keep them reading. But there would be an advantage to doing a couple of standalones just as like learning the process and finding your readers and stuff. I think that's an interesting approach.
Correct.
The few new writers that I get when they ask me questions like that is the first thing I say is like, I know you're working on a series, but
you might try to handle it. Yeah.
Maybe consider, because you'll make all the mistakes with the first book. And
That's so true. Yeah.
You'll learn what you need to change, and you'll learn how to be stronger. You'll learn how the craft of story works. And it's like, then take all those valuable lessons and keep that series in your back pocket and work on it on the side. And then, then you'll be like ready.
So true. So true. Well, let's talk about your books specifically. So your books are a little genre bending and melding, but they fall into romantasy pretty much. What do you wish you'd known about writing romantasy or books like that?
I basically took an urban fantasy story, and it has erotic is a little strong, but it has an erotic flavor to it. And so it puts it into that romantasy genre. It's not it's not gratuitous anything. And all the hot steamy parts in the book all have purpose, and they're all going in a direction. But I think I would have sculpted the book a little differently if I had understood the tropes a little bit better when putting the book together and attempting it that way. But I also wanted to write something that was sex positive, that it's told first person from Nora's view. And anytime you have a strong woman who's like, this is what I want, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm going, I think is always a good thing to add out to the world. So
yeah,
I do too. Yeah. I mean, that's why I write sex in my books, because I want it to be sex positive. I want it to be respect positive and all of those things, that we don't always get.
We don't always see
in the real world. Yeah. Yeah. So plus those are the books I like to read, and so we have to, you sort of need to write what you read.
That's what I did. It's like, what do I want to read? Well, this is what I would like to read. This is, However, I find out later that with the marketing component, bending a little bit, flexing a little bit more towards traditional design would have probably helped me.
Yeah. How do you mean?
Leaning more into meet cutes maybe, and more of those points that is recommended when you're writing a book. There's a lot of romance books that have a formula. I didn't follow a formula. I followed the instincts of writing a story. So I mean, there's a build, there's a fall, there's a build.
Sure.
All those components, but I didn't follow any of the romance formulas really. So it's not a happily ever after at the end of the first book, and it's a relationship that's building over time between two characters. You don't immediately get that happy ending right off the bat. So
I think that's okay though if you're writing a series. I think of a lot
I hope
of series
so.
of yeah.
I can remember a couple series from my past that we got to, I got to book 3 in the series. I'm like, would you guys get together already?
Yeah, I know.
I
Yeah.
can't, I can't. You just keep dancing around your relationship, which, adds a great amount of tension and makes me hungry for the next book. But there's also, I don't want to frustrate the reader into,
Sure.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Well, we mentioned dyslexia earlier, so let's go back and circle back to that a little bit. Do you have, for any other authors who have dyslexia, would you have any suggestions or advice for them? Because I mean, I don't have firsthand experience with it. So, like, how did you get to where you could get your words on the page and get to that point?
It was basically to have no fear, just get them on the page. I have a really thick skin when it comes to basically my dyslexia. I cannot spell to save my life. Anyone who can spell, I look at as they are a magical creature who can do this spell casting that I do not understand. And in college, I would have my roommate edit my papers for English class and all that fun stuff. And she would call into the hallway, I'm editing Amanda's papers. You gotta come read this. And I'm just like, you know what? Just fix it. I don't just fix it. Just make the spelling right. And that's fine. And it's, it's the believe that you have a story worth telling and just get it on the page. Everything else can be fixed. Spelling can be fixed. Grammar can be fixed. You got to start somewhere. Right. And just because you can't spell or you switch things around or your name recall is terrible, it doesn't mean you don't have a story that's worth telling.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have actually, my first book was edited twice. I ended up hiring a second editor after it got published because not one person cannot catch everything. No. I got my writing group after my first book. So they have been monumental in catching all those little things because with spell check as a dyslexic, I mean, when you put 5 words up on a page that look similar in spelling, I suddenly cannot tell which word is the word I want. And so using the thesaurus is great because all of a sudden I get the meaning or the, you put in speedy when you're looking for, my brain is going to shut down at this moment. I don't have a great example. I'm so sorry. But I use the source a lot. I'll put in a simpler word when I'm looking for a word that's 12 letters long, but I know the word, I just can't spell the word.
Right.
Or the lean into the technology that's out there, I guess is the other thing I would say to dyslexic. Speaking into my phone to get words to pop up like a Google search. You speak into the Google search and then you get the right spelling. And that is fantastic from my point of view. So all these little tricks and ways around things, and I haven't tried Grammarly yet, but I have a lot of people saying that it's great for catching those mistakes. Famous ones I've made that I haven't seen on the page is bowel instead of bowl, or penis instead of pencil. So it's just like when my brain goes through and I'm reading it, I'm reading the content and that there's enough letters that are similar that I am not going to see it. So anytime I catch that, I'm pretty happy about it. Multnomah Falls is a famous waterfall up here in Oregon near Portland, and it's in my first book. And I had it as Melanoma Falls. I didn't see it. My editor didn't see it, who's also from Oregon. And I was caught by a friend of mine. And I was just...
That's so funny.
Yeah. And she found it hilarious. And I found it hilarious. I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah. Well, there's something about like your brain knows, like since you've written it, your brain knows what it should be. And so a lot of times you read over things and your brain is substituting automatically what you know should be there, even though it's not the right word. And that's why we have to have multiple people helping us get these books ready.
Right. Well,
it's a team effort.
Yeah, and that brings me to the question I was writing down earlier, which is, excuse me, how did you find your alpha readers? I think a lot of people would be interested in knowing that, because I think we're all looking for people to help us, and
I tricked them into joining a writing group.
There you go.
I will shorten the story, but basically I was in a dog class, and we were doing nose work, and I went with two of the people in the class that I didn't know very well, and we drove to a dog event, and we were talking about everything, and of course books came up, and what do you like to read? And I've always wanted to read or write, and I was like, really? I've written a book and I'm looking for a writing group. And it started that way. And we put out a call for other writers on the NextDoor app, essentially in town, and was like, does anybody want to write? And then I found somebody on Instagram who actually lived in the same town, and let's do a meetup. And then, we enjoyed her so much, we invited her into the group, and we have a really just wonderful, tight-knit group of amazing readers and writers. And it was just by accident. And there were a couple people that I was like, hey, come to this thing tonight. We have tea and cookies. You'll like it.
Accident and subterfuge. There you go.
Yes, I was very sneaky.
Right. Well, one more question. So for your books, do you write first person present, first person past?
Oh, see, and this is where you hit my dyslexia. I believe it's first person past.
Okay. All right.
Sorry. I flip things. I literally have to go and look that definition up every time.
Yeah. I get it.
No, I get it. I get it.
I think that first person present is very popular right now, right? Is that what you're thinking, Jamie?
It's popular in romance, but I don't know about romantasy. I think romantasy is more past, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay.
That's okay. Interesting. I'm not either.
I'll look at your book and I'll tell you.
That would be great. I would love that. I'm always here for feedback and information.
Yeah. Well, I think that's important. I think you said you had thick skin.
I do.
And I think, knowing our strengths is super important. Like, we have to know our strengths, but I think knowing our weaknesses is equally important, but not letting those things hold us back. Just knowing that's what it is, and you find people to help you. And so that's, and being willing to ask for help. That's the problem. A lot of people just aren't willing to ask. And I always say, well, if somebody asked me for help, I would give it to them. So why wouldn't someone else ask that I ask, not be willing? And people are, kind of thing.
It's amazing how willing people are to help. I mean, yeah. It's been just
the trick is finding the right people. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned earlier that you work full time. So people are always curious, how do you balance your full-time work and your writing?
Oh, that's work in progress. That's a recalculation on a daily basis sometimes.
Yes.
I had a really good stint there for a while where I had 2 days a week that I definitely would set aside when I got done with work, a couple hours, and I'd write here, I'd write there. And then I was able to cobble together a couple more days. Like, okay, I just needed just an hour. I will sit down here. I will turn the ringer off on my phone. I will set a timer, and I will sit here and do this. Unfortunately, since then, I've had a couple more wild cards thrown into my life, and it has disrupted my tenuous schedule that I had. I'm so happy with it. Now it's like flapping in the breeze somewhere. Yeah. So just coming back to it and being like, okay, I have an hour here, or I have a half hour here, and just finding those areas where I can sit down and actually do something. And I know conventional wisdom is if you repeatedly repetitively schedule something and you do it at the same time every day, it will build and get stronger and stronger. And I would love to be able to do that. But in the end of the day, it's like, okay, I just need to look at every day. It's like, what can I do today? Where can I fit this in? And I'm lucky enough that I can drop down into a creative space pretty fast once I sit my butt in the chair. Got to get my butt in the chair.
Yeah. That is, even if it's only 10 or 15 minutes, a lot of times it's easy to think, well, I only had 10 minutes, so I'm going to, check this ad or write this copy for Instagram or whatever. But if you could take that 10 minutes and put it towards your book, even if you only get a paragraph or two, that's still progress.
Agreed. And right now, this year, I kind of committed it more to trying to not trying, I am marketing, but getting out there. And so it has cut into my writing ability a lot. So getting into book fairs and doing these wonderful podcasts with you ladies, I would be writing right now, typically, which is fine. I mean, this is a blast, but it's balancing those two, like,
yes,
shouting about the book and creating the book. It's like, which one needs more of my time and energy today?
Right.
And I would imagine the book fairs take quite a bit of time to prep for and do you travel to them?
Yes, I've gotten to do 3 in-town events, which is amazing. And I've done one up in Portland, and I'm doing one on the coast not this weekend, but next weekend. And that's a lot. But once it seems like once I got everything ready for the first one, then it became easier to like, okay, I got this. It's all prepped. I kind of know what I want to do. And then then I'm working with tweaking, like what did work, what didn't work, what do I need to get out there. And so learning process, but once you do the first one, it becomes easier.
Right. That's good. Well, what do you think the best thing you've done to set yourself up for success has been?
Not to sound like a broken record, but getting people around me who are also avid writers and readers, and just having that community. I mean, building community. I'll keep saying that till I'm blue in the face. It's incredibly important.
I agree, 100%. Yeah. I mean, you just need people in your corner.
It's true, and we all have days of struggle, and we all have moments where things seem really bleak, and to have somebody come in and be like, no, your book is awesome, knock it off, go back and do that thing, keep writing, I want the next book, what are you doing? Don't compare yourself to other people, don't look at somebody else's journey, you're on your own journey. And that is something I try to repeat to myself regularly. It's just this is my journey. I'm not cranking out 6 books a year. That's not going to happen. That's unfortunately not what I'm able to do, but I can do this, and I can make this happen. And so
that's great.
And it helps to have people around who can remind you of that. So that's always good.
It's appreciated deeply.
Well, where can people find out more about you and your books?
They can find me on Instagram, so a.b.herron with 2 R's. And then I have a website, which is abherron.com. Those are the 2 easier places to find like a social media presence. I'm up on Amazon. I have books in Barnes & Noble, and I'm working on getting a little wider distribution. I just haven't made it there yet.
Right. Well, that is awesome. Thank you so much for talking to us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This is a great time.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening today. And if you want to support the podcast, you can go to wishidknownthenforwriters.com/support, and you can find the show notes at the same link. And thanks to Alexa Larberg for editing the podcast, and to Adriel for doing the admin. See everybody next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. And remember our sponsor is Zero Cash Software. Use discount code WishI'dKnownThen20 and get 20% off of Zero subscription services for 3 months. Thanks for listening. Keep writing, and we'll talk to you guys next week.